control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah. Remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media.
I was wondering who did that. Thanks.
Ain't nothing to it. A baby could do it.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
I'm a human being, god damn it! My life has value! It's time to ask yourself what you believe.
Mass murder, torture, perjury, embezzlement, fraud, deception, treason. These are just a few of your many crimes against humanity. You will not win this war, for you are fighting the very essence of humanity.
We make this judgment affirmatively. It will be an entire nation.
Oh, hey, Tony.
This COVID-19 is really freaking me out, man. It's like we're living in a real-life episode of Black Mirror. Is this shit even real?
Yeah, Tony, this is real. Are you kidding me, man? This thing has the potential to literally wipe out millions of people. Millions. Are you washing your hands, dude?
Heck yeah, I'm washing my hands. I scrubbed them with that antibacterial soap that I bought from Target, and there was a line to get in. Can you believe it? A line to get in Target?
Yeah, I can believe that. That's good, Tony. That means they're practicing social distancing. That's a good thing.
Should I wash them again?
Yeah, Tony. I've already washed my hands at least 20 times a day, and I'm wearing gloves inside. So, yeah, I do think you should wash your hands again. Take this seriously, dude.
I am taking this seriously.
Okay, then why do you keep going to Target? Stay inside. Safer at home.
But I'm essential. I have to go out.
Okay, well, if you do, can you at least just make sure you put on your mask?
You know, I was actually thinking of going and getting some more donuts at Target.
You're eating a donut right now.
I finished it.
You've just finished a donut, and you want to go out, and you want to get more donuts to eat right now. Are you kidding me?
I'm nervous.
Come on, man. Have you not been listening to anything that Dr. Fauci has been telling us?
Dr. Fauci, he's so smart.
Probably the smartest doctor that's ever graced planet Earth, I would say, in my humble opinion.
The coronavirus is not contagious. Actually, viruses can't originate outside the body. They are the result of interior toxicity caused by environment.
Did you invite him?
How did he get into our Zoom?
I have Benny Wills, one half of Joy Camp. He's also a poet, an actor. What else would you say about yourself, Benny?
Oh, I would say, I mean, I could describe myself in all kinds of ways, but I guess a poet and an MC, performer, YouTuber, loving husband, son, and future father.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
oh.
well, that's, yeah. That wasn't me trying to spill the beans, but yes, I am going to be a father this year.
Oh my God, I haven't talked to you in so long. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Okay, what a great way to start off. So anyway, yeah, we've been kind of online activists. We were friends, went to the same college without even knowing it. Like, it was weird. We had a strange set of like coincidences where April and I, the co-founder of Channel, went to the same college. And then the year that we left, then Benny and his work partner, Kevin, actually went to the same college. But we ended up finding each other online, interviewing each other, or I interviewed them for our podcast, and we've been friends ever since. And we talk about the importance of art and how important it is with art and how it should be used to help people awaken. So could you explain your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, you were our first interview ever as Joy Camp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're the first interview we ever did. So the significance of art. Well, I think that you can encapsulate an idea in a piece of art sometimes much easier than you could in a fully explained presentation or a book, and it can resonate in a different kind of way. And I think that art also has the ability to break down people's walls and resistances more easily than, again, like a book could, or a presentation or a lecture or just an opinion in a conversation can. So I really believe in the power of art to help shatter paradigms and also reach people with certain topics that they would otherwise be unwilling to discuss.
Yeah, I know. I think you said that really well. Yeah, thank you for your coronavirus videos. I mean, a lot of your videos have definitely, you know, even though I'm someone who would consider myself like awakened or woke or whatever, just still, even for the people that are already awoke, it's very healing too. To me, it's a form of healing. Like that coronavirus video that you did a couple weeks ago, I was having a bad day at work, and I've been ranting on my channel about just, you know, how me fighting back and forth with my job about having to wear masks and stuff, and how I think it's ridiculous. And I just gotten, you know, in an argument, and your video popped in my inbox, and it just like made my day, you know.
Cool.
And Kevin was such a dick in that video.
He's great at playing that character. I think it's because he's around those kinds of people all the time, and he works in Hollywood in the entertainment industry, so he's just like surrounded by that. So I think he's just really able to convey that personality well.
Oh my God, it was perfect because I'm in Austin, and that's what Austin is like. I mean, I'm just surrounded. It's like I'm in a sea of vampires. That's what I feel like now. And
yeah,
you know, Austin, it seems like it would be a great city, you know, but since this election, since the corona thing, it's just really like has shown people's true color and true nature. And unfortunately, because of the social justice warrior culture in Austin University, you know, I mean, it's just, I feel like I'm surrounded by these just horrible virtue signaling narcissists all day. And I want to move a little bit outside of Austin. I finally found a group of people to hang out with, you know, that I feel safe. But it's for the first time in my life, it's been really hard for me to make friends. Because even when I was trying to be accepting of their different points of view, as soon as they found out my point of view, they were just like, they bounced, you know?
Yeah. Are you connected, or do you know, are you aware of Truth Stream Media?
Yeah.
Because they're nearby, and they're
awesome. In Huddle. I think they're in Huddle.
Really? I don't really know. I don't know how far away that is from Austin.
I would love to be connected with them, though. Melissa and Eric. I would love to.
Yeah, they're awesome. And there's a couple others. Like I do this boiler room chat every now and then with them and Jay Dyer and some others. And the people who host it, Hesher and Spore, are also in that area. If it's close, I find out exactly where they are, but if they're close, I'll try to connect you.
I would love that. that. But you know, some people in my jiu-jitsu studio, they're awake, you know, I feel kind of safe with them, but it's just been the weirdest thing, you know. So what are your thoughts on the coronavirus situation? Like where were you when, you know, this started going down, and like what has your experience been like in what, you know, where you are?
Yeah. Well, first I want to touch on something you just said that it's running in, it's just like, now it's looping in my mind. You said that it's brought up people's true colors. And I would actually say, I think that's not true. I think it's actually bringing out their artificial colors. It's manipulating them. So these people who are virtue signaling and having these self-righteous, you know, infuriating points of view and arguing with people and yelling, that's not their true nature. That's what they've been conditioned to think and how to behave. So it's actually bringing out it's like bringing out this erroneous version of them. Their true nature is being manipulated, and that's what it's exploiting. Their true nature, just like anybody, we all want, for the most part, we all want justice and peace and love and support and kindness. And these people, they're just, that part of them is being manipulated into aggressing against their neighbors and judging and thinking that people who don't agree with them are insane or racist or whatever they think. So it's not their true colors. It's their true colors being absolutely exploited and, you know, used against them, and then therefore creating a divide and et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because I'm always trying to tell people, like, because I get frustrated with the left in particular, but I recognize that their seed of where where their anger comes from is genuine. It's just being redirected at all the wrong things.
It's been weaponized. Yeah.
Their true colors are no different than yours or mine. They want positive change. It's just that they watch too much TV.
You know what? Thank you for that. That's an excellent way of putting it. You're right. Because I think I get mad, but I'm like, I know that they want to do good and they want to help people, but they're so mean. They're so mean about it.
They're trusting of the television. They're trusting of the authoritative voices. They're trusting the government and the media and Hollywood, and they're just getting all the wrong information. And then they're therefore not trusting their neighbors, and it creates this very maddening divide. Anyway, so back to your question, the coronavirus. I mean, it's tricky. It's obviously being utilized to implement certain new ways of living, and it's being used as a political divisionary tactic. The actual nature of the virus itself, I'm still on the fence about, to be honest. It seems like it's overblown. They're obviously inflating the numbers, just based off of what you see from CNN and then what the CDC says. They're different. So, there's obviously manipulation going on there. My friend's uncle, who was 80, died recently. He fell down, had a brain aneurysm, and his death was listed as COVID-19. So there's obvious manipulation. But that said, some people seem to be actually suffering from something and dying from something. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of the virus itself, but the reaction to it is certainly not, is unwarranted and is being used to implement this new normal and all this just insane totalitarian new rules and regulations and laws and BS. So yeah, I think it's bullshit from the jump. So I mean, I don't even know, like, I've been very honest about it on my channel, and it's funny because I'll get people saying like, oh, you should get into politics and stuff. First of all, I don't believe politics is going to change the world, but second of all, I notice that people in politics that do have questions about this, they still feel like they have an obligation to have some sense of like diplomacy, but where I can just be like, yeah, they're manipulating numbers. Why are they diagnosing people? My cousin, his friend works in a mortuary. Gangbanger came in, gunshot wound to the head, labeled as COVID-19. My friend's grandmother died, labeled COVID-19. My cousin just had a heart attack and 2 blood clots, and he's diagnosed. He's alive still, thank God, but diagnosed him with COVID-19. The homeless people are dead. They're not wearing masks or social distancing or hand sanitizing. They just basically shut down the world with words. Yeah. That's how I see it. And I'm not afraid to be like, I'm not even, me personally, I'm just saying, I'm not taking that middle ground and being like, oh no, they lie, just like they lie about everything. So I say I'm under no obligation to believe the mainstream media, the TV, because they lie all the time. I agree. Yeah. And something I thought about recently, do you remember back in like January, February, we were seeing those videos starting to emerge from Wuhan of people like falling over face first and tremoring on the ground. Do you remember these videos? Like our very first introduction to, the coronavirus pandemic in China. That never happened here in the US. There was never any videos of people falling face first, fainting, tremoring on the ground. I mean, I guess the argument could be made that they just didn't want to show that to us, but I feel like a video like that would have emerged. So there's an inaccurate storytelling here. There's like inconsistency rather.
Yeah, you're right about that. I never even thought about that. Plus, but I mean, you can say that, but somebody would have had like their phone camera taking pictures. You know what I mean? Like video would have emerged.
So they planted those seeds in our mind of like, look how bad it is here in China, but we never saw anything even remotely close to that here. So I don't know. Yeah, it's obviously more than it's definitely not the mainstream version that they're telling us.
Even the even as far back as the what do you call it, the predictive programming, right? With like movies like The Stand or Outbreak, and people watch
Contagion.
and what was the Contagion, and
It's like this. It's like the plot of Contagion. Like we're seeing it play out.
I saw the video you made on that. You were talking about that, about the plot of Contagion,
Well, it's even more so now with like the social distancing and the immunity bracelets and stuff they have to wear. And I mean, it seems like it's straight out of that. It's like the plot is now being applied to our life.
And then people like they watch this shit and they think it's real. You know what I mean? They think that viruses, and then from what I understand, viruses don't even, evolution doesn't work like that. I heard somebody talking about it's almost as if, they're saying like we're in traffic and then we're stuck. And because we want to go forward, we can't, we just decide we're going to fly. It doesn't, it's like, but people, because they watch these scientific, fiction movies, and, it's so easy. Those seeds are already planted. It's so easy for the news to just come on and just make up anything they want. And then people that don't have discernment just like, oh no, now it's mutated. It's like, oh no, like asymptomatic carriers you mean healthy people? Like, I'm just like, I watched this. I was like, I can't believe this shit. Like, like how are people like buying into this? I know. So
that's the asymptomatic part is where it exposes their plan, because it's, come on, give me a break. Like we all have like a equilibrium in our bodies. So if our immune system is strong and we're healthy, this stuff is in balance, but there's always the potential for something to go out, to get out of balance and make us therefore sick and show symptoms. So to be asymptomatic of something is an irrelevant argument, because we already have we're asymptomatic already. So that's just an obvious fear tactic to cause more aggression and fear and anger from someone who's wearing a mask and who's not wearing a mask, and also to make these rules and regulations seem justified. All the social distancing, which is absolute nonsense. There's no science behind this social distancing. There's no science behind 6 feet away from a person is therefore like that's the cutoff line for a airborne germ. It's all nonsense.
The groups of 10, the curfews, it's like it waits until there's
it's an IQ test. I feel like
like 9 people, 10 people just waiting, like it comes out at night. So it's like my friend was saying that he went to Red Lobster and there were people wearing masks in the lobby, but then they walked in and they didn't have any masks. But then they were like, oh, put this napkin over your mouth, and while we walk you to the table, where nobody that was sitting in the table section had masks on. So I'm like, is it going to wait till you finish eating to attack you? Like, I don't, like, what's the logic?
Meanwhile, people are, squirting hand sanitizer on their hands multiple times a day and washing their hands with antibacterial soap, which is not going to help strengthen your immune system. But I mean, who knows what those chemicals are?
Oh, cancer rates are probably going to soar.
When I was at Lowe's last week, and after every customer, they're spraying off this plexiglass they've now put in front of the cash registers. So they spray the plexiglass, and those chemicals and that whatever's in there, we don't even know. It's a bottle of just like green liquid. What's in there? I'm sure breathing that in is not going to be good for your body.
It's radioactive.
But no one questions it. It's just like, okay, this is what we do now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even use it. I finally kind of won, where I'm real kid sensitive to chemicals and stuff anyway, because we both have really bad allergies, right? Yeah, so like I have to use natural detergents and makeup and all this stuff, because I'm just like, I don't even touch hands. Even before this, I never touched that stuff. And the triclosan, carcinogens, in addition to all the other stuff that's in there, cancer rates are probably going to go up, I'm sure, it's just, I don't, I even had a subscriber said that she learned in nursing school that, that hand sanitizer was bad. And, it's like, I want to laugh sometimes and I want to cry. Like I have to laugh sometimes to keep from crying. That's why I know you make comedy. It probably keeps you very sane, to do that and to write poetry.
Yeah, I guess.
Do the things that you do.
I go back and forth. I mean, I'm just paying attention, staying mindful of the whole situation and trying to lean towards being the things that seem encouraging about it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I joke, I complain, but yeah, I mean, it's okay. So I was going to ask you another question, but since you said that, what are the things that are encouraging that you see about it?
Well, the backlash is strong. I mean, really strong.
Yeah.
You know, I remember, because this does feel like the new September 11th in a different way, but it feels as significant as that. And it took years for there to be information that was easily available to sift through and recognize. I mean, I was in high school when that event happened, and we still had dial-up internet. YouTube didn't exist.
That's right.
All I had was my instinct that something was wrong. But it wasn't until 3 or 4 years later that I was actually able to start investigating it, because there was finally the tools to do that. For me anyway. I mean, some people probably already had ways of doing that, but I was only 17 when it happened. So by the time I was 20, yeah, that's when the internet was like becoming faster. And but now, I mean, it's just the official narrative is being obliterated
in real time from every single angle. And I mean, someone like James Corbett was able to put out that, have you seen this, the 4-part Bill Gates documentary? I'm on part 1.
It's incredible. I mean, he was able to absolutely dismantle the image of and dissect Bill Gates, you know, with a machete, just hacking through the story and getting to the bottom of who this guy is, what his intentions are, what he's about, or his money, you know, everything about him. And then you go to like Bill Gates' Instagram page and you see the resistance and the comments to what he's pushing, and it's far outweighs the support that he gets.
Yeah.
So that's really encouraging.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I see so many signs of encouragement. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Did you leave a nasty comment?
I'm not a nasty comment. I made something a little more cheeky.
I told him I wanted to river dance on his privates.
I said, is it true? I asked, is it true that I asked if it was true if he named Microsoft after his penis. Classic.
That's great. That's great.
It's not my nature to get too nasty, so I was.
No, that's wonderful. You know, I was interviewed Ben Stewart. His interview is actually going up today. We were talking about since about maybe a decade ago, I definitely see less resistance to a lot of this information. And, you know, certain topics when we would interview people and we would talk about, we'd have to like seriously moderate or either disable the comments. And I don't have to do that as much too.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. There's less resistance. I mean, there's more resistance, I should say. And Kevin, for instance, in LA, he's saying that people he would never expect are questioning details about this. Like, this one's really pushing us so far that even some pretty extreme, I hate to pick on the left, but leftist thinkers are going, wait a minute, this doesn't quite add up. And that's encouraging.
Yeah.
So it's reaching people. The backlash is stronger than I would have anticipated, and it's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, I know maybe there are people that have lost a lot, like their businesses or their jobs or something, and they probably don't want to hear this, but in a sense, maybe this is what needed to happen in order to shake the rest of the population up, in order to, you know, get the people awake that we need to really understand what's going on.
Right.
It's so extreme and it's worldwide, you know?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I hate this, what's going on with how the world is changing as a result of coronavirus, as far as what they're trying to push on us. But at the same time, it's not like the old normal was peachy keen. Like, it's been pretty messed up for a long time. So, and we've all been saying for years that it has to get worse for it to get better, because people have to be pushed to a point where they don't accept this anymore. So in a way, it's not like, I want people to snap out of their trance so we can finally just say no to this new world order nonsense that has been creeping its way into our lives for so long. And maybe this is the kind of thing that it takes. So people go, no way. Because to go back to the old normal would be the same. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't fantastic. I mean, we're still dealing with pretty pretty dark forces. So if the dark forces have to push harder for us to push back, then let's bring it on. Like let's get this over with. Let's move beyond this.
I know it's on now. That's how I feel like. I'm like, it's on. I'm like, I'm ready. It's on, you know?
And I hate this, that there's now the racism card has been pulled in the last week. And it's also the anti-cop thing has been pulled in the last week. And that makes me frustrated, because I think that we have to be trying to reach the police and trying to reach the military. These are the two forces that, if we could reach the police and the military, then these elites have nothing. They have nothing. They can't do anything. That's what they use
to force against us. Exactly. I've been thinking the same thing.
So I think while that's like, so this Minnesota situation has served a dual purpose. One, it reinforces this racist narrative. And two, it distances us further from the cops. But the cops are our neighbors. Like, there's cops living in my neighborhood. And if the cops could like realize that they are, like that cop that was from Seattle a couple weeks ago who made a video saying, I'm not going to enforce any of this. He got fired, but he stood up. He's saying, this is not what I signed up for.
There have been two so far.
It's awesome.
Another one just came out. And they fired him.
I meet soldiers all the time, like former soldiers who don't want to fight illegal wars anymore and don't want to see, are tired of seeing their friends get mutilated or killed in battle. So we should be gentle with the police and reaching out to them and, you know, trying to build those bridges back to the ones who would be the ones who would enforce the Bill Gates of the world and their agendas. I mean, if Bill Gates came to my door with a syringe, I would drop kick his ass, you know, and it'd be easy. I would do it with a blindfold on and my arm tied behind my back. Bill Gates has nothing on me. But if he has the power, the muscle in front of him, then it's more of a challenge. So we have to like, you know, try to reach our neighbors who are military and police, and, you know, they're the ones that they can't, the elites can't do anything without their lapdogs.
For sure. What, let me see, I was going to ask you, Virstyne. So, you know, we're talking about like just a minute ago about how something worse had to happen in order for it to get to something, it has to get worse before it gets better. What was your experience of kind of understanding that the world isn't what we are told it is? Was it 9/11? Do you have most people, I feel like they have to have a bad experience.
Light bulb moment? Yeah.
Awakening moment.
You know, this is honestly a question I've been asked so many times and I've contemplated. I still contemplate it because I'm still surprised that more people don't see things the way I see them. Like, I'm still like, I've always been a curious person, and I think it started really early for me because I just absolutely instinctually rejected school. I was a really defiant student. Not that I was defiant and like antagonistic towards teachers or mean or anything like that, but just I was resistant to the information, and I always questioned why I had to be there. And I would then be told that I was, you know, I was then punished or scolded at because I was not paying more attention. But I just always questioned. I was like, why do I have to be here? And I always think, how can I trust you? Why should I trust you when it comes to information? And I've always just leaned towards perspective. I mean, but the real light bulb moment, I know I had a few growing up. One of the very first ones when I was really young, this is a weird example, but was Mickey Mouse. As a child, I really couldn't stand Mickey Mouse. I thought he was annoying. And I thought, what's the deal? How does, you know, and I thought, he's insufferable. I like Goofy. I like Donald. I like these other characters.
Donald.
But Mickey was just so irritating. And I thought as a kid, well, since I feel this way, therefore everybody feels this. Like, my thoughts are obviously going to be shared by everybody. And so when I found out that not only people didn't agree with me, but they actually like worshiped this mouse, and he was actually the symbol and the face of the entire company, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I was like, but he's obviously an irritating, you know, cartoon. Like, I don't get it. And that created like this small schism for me. I was like, how is it that I'm seeing something this way and everybody else is seeing it this way? And so that did create like that was like a first little crack in the windshield for me.
How old are you?
Young. I mean, probably like 3 or 4. Because I was watching Disney, and every time Mickey would come on, I changed the channel, and to find out that he's like revered and this absolute
god,
symbol of Disney, I was like, whoa. So that was like an early one, but I think it wasn't just 9/11. It was everything that surrounded it. It was the whole Bush presidency and the whole war campaign. Because I grew up with hippie parents who were, anti-Vietnam War. So it was so fundamental to me. Like, war is bad. You can't no one can possibly justify war to me under any circumstance where it's okay to kill innocent people because governments are disagreeing with each other. That's unacceptable. You cannot, rationalize that to me. So that also created a huge schism. And that was young too. I mean, that was like early on in childhood, just understanding like, yeah, bombs are bad, missiles are bad, killing innocent people is bad. The A-bomb that we're taught is sort of like some sort of, necessary evil. We had to do it. I'm like, no way. Someone could have said, we're not going to do that. So that was probably an anti-war stance was probably, what really firmed that up for me.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I want to know, I mean, I know about it personally, but I want you to speak on your, we both pursued acting in Hollywood for a while. And I remember last time when I was in LA before I moved, you were contemplating, like, it was right after Robin Williams died. And we were both like huge Robin Williams fans.
Yeah.
And I really felt like that was a point where you really started to question your pursuit of acting.
Wow. Yeah.
And I remember I actually, before I met you, I felt what you were going through because I'd gone through that psychological change before I moved to Taiwan because, but your trigger was, I remember the Robin Williams thing. So could you explain like what it's like to be an actor in Hollywood, the dream, the passion, how it is. And then when you came to that point where you realized, I don't think I can do this in this environment anymore, because you're still an actor, but
I'm not an actor anymore.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not.
You don't think
I have acting skills. I would never call myself an actor now. I'm so glad that's behind me.
Okay. Well, even when you're doing your poetry?
That's not acting. That's me that's me not playing a character anymore. That's me being me.
Okay. Well, go on.
I'm using the acting skills, or I guess the performance skills I acquired. The poetry and performing for me is like the ultimate realization of all that time and I spent and energy I put into becoming an actor. Now I did all that. And now I can perform as me and not as someone else, not as a character and not as another writer's creation, which is so liberating. So I'm very, very relieved to be at this point in my life where I can be a performer and not be an actor. But that said, letting the dream go, like you asked me, it was a question of what was the moment where
Yeah, well, I guess what was it like pursuing acting for all the time that you did, and then up to the point where you realized that you couldn't do it anymore?
Yeah,
what was that like for you?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts on all that. The pursuit of acting was, it's hard. I'm going to try to frame this in a way that's easy to explain. And because I think about this a lot because it was such a huge part of my life. I pursued acting for 20 plus years of my life. I started acting professionally when I was 7 years old. I went to, 10 years of immersive theater training and have 2 degrees in acting. I spent 7.5 years in Los Angeles as an adult pursuing an acting career. So it was a big part of my life, and I've only been out of it completely for, a little over 2 years. So I've had a lot of time to think about it. I think I'm taking this course called Autonomy, which is from through Richard Grove. Richard Grove from Tragedy and Hope.
I'm gonna
Well,
check it out. I love him.
He's teaching he's awesome, and he's teaching a course now called Autonomy, which I'm in, and I recommend it to anybody. It's really been
I'm gonna check that out.
awesome. Yeah, and I can put a link. We can put it in the bottom of this video.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it.
I haven't.
Now I'm gonna like hit him up and see if he'll come on and talk about it.
Yeah, he's awesome, and I highly recommend it. Sonia and I are both in the course right now. But anyway, in taking this course and reading simultaneous the book Weapons of Mass Instruction by John Taylor Gatto,
Great, yeah.
it's so clear now that we have been so dumbed down through our education system and led away from our potential, and we have these blind pursuits. So I think that the dream, which, I mean, at some point everyone has a dream of being rich and famous, I think, or being a professional athlete or whatever, some like really, huge dream, the American dream, which is unrealistic for the most part. And even people who achieve it, like so many actors who become rich and famous have drug problems, or they get lots of plastic surgery, or they struggle with depression, because I think that it's an empty dream with no rooting in reality. So I started pursuing a dream without knowing that there was more available. Like I really, looking back now, wish I had more skills that I developed as a kid. I wish I knew more gardening skills and farming skills and handyman work and things that would really contribute to, a community and to life, like skills, rather than I'm going to be an actor. So I have a lot of thoughts about all that. And I'm like sharpening those skills now in this, my 30s. But the pursuit of acting was something I thought, something I realized now I was rationalizing to myself was an honest pursuit, but it was actually just a vain pursuit to have an easy way out, having, fame and fortune, winning an Oscar and getting paid millions of dollars to make movies all day. And it's like unreality. So I really, and it was always unfulfilling. So it was an unfulfilling pursuit that ultimately led me to a place where I'm very happy, but it's only because I let that dream go. And gosh, I think I'm trying to frame this right. So I'm a little bit disjointed, but it was, the foundation really started to crack for me when I got to LA, because Hollywood was like the last shoe to drop for me to accept as being, part of a problem. Because I had cognitive dissonance, because I wanted it so bad. So even though I was like going down the rabbit hole and I was waking up at a very rapid rate in my early 20s, I would ignore videos or information that had to do with Hollywood, because I was like, no. Because I really wanted that dream to be realized, and I wanted it to be real. And when I finally accepted that there was some propaganda and bad intentions with Hollywood, the foundation totally started to crumble. And I got to LA when I was 26, and I don't know, it immediately felt wrong. Just felt, the whole time I was there, it didn't feel like an honest pursuit anymore. But I didn't know anything else, because I've been, I've been going for it since I was, 7, so almost 20 years. And then I realized that if you're not a movie star, and if you're not you're regular on a TV series, the best way to make money in Hollywood is through commercials. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to have a 9-to-5 job or work as a server at a restaurant, so I'm going to focus on commercials. And so I started doing that, and I started making good money in commercials. And it was great for a little while, because commercials can pay really well. But then I came up against my own integrity after a couple of years. And I thought, man, I am using all of those skills and all that talent, all that time and energy that I put into being a good actor, and I'm now applying it towards selling out for companies that probably are selling products that are not good for you in any way. And when I really—
Wait, 1 second. I remember when you got that Pizza Hut commercial.
Yeah.
You're all like, Benny, but at the same time, you're like, well, you got to get paid, you know. But I remember
Exactly. That was how I started. I tried to justify it to myself that way, saying, well, I got to get paid, because most people have a job that they don't like, that's serving someone else, is making someone else's dreams come true. So yeah, when that little like awareness really crept in, it was all downhill or uphill, depending on how you look at it, I guess. But it was really, the next couple of years were me struggling with that and not knowing what to do, because that was all I knew at that point.
Yeah.
And ultimately it led to, my last year in LA was pretty bad. Like I was pretty erratic in my emotions, because I knew I had to leave, but I didn't know where to go. And I was running out of money and just like spiraling. And luckily I met my now wife in that time frame as well. And she was very supportive of what I was going through. And she ultimately decided to walk away from her career. And now we're out of it and we're very, very, very content and happy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can go into more specifics about any particular part of that, but yeah, it's been a wild ride.
I just wanted to say though too, I remember like, you know, like for me, you know, pursuing acting, I got into acting because I was afraid to talk in front of people. And I actually just took a course. And it's funny because my dad came to LA to be a director. So I didn't want to really have anything to do with that stuff. I was like a science nerd and everything, but I got into acting because I was afraid to speak in front of people. And I hated being afraid of that. And I was like, wait, I liked it. And I liked studying theater because it was really cathartic for me. And I like the research that you have to do. And, you know, but the image of actor and what the craft has become, it's become more about celebrity. And it's been hijacked, and I hate that. And I think, you know, that you do look, there are some actors, you look at somebody like Daniel Day-Lewis or like, you know, or Julianne Moore, somebody, you know, that they're very like, you know, they're very focused, they're very dedicated, they research, they, you know, they really have a handle on the craft. And there's really no distinction, especially in Hollywood, it's more about celebrity, you know. That's the thing that I hate it too. I hate it like the fact that I just feel like, because they know the false idol worship that, you know, people have on actors, the Illuminati is very much prevalent in Hollywood. And they, you know, actors are also being used as a tool to brainwash people. And that was one of the things that was really hard for me to come in contact with. And I really hate like when people like dog on actors, because I like actors, you know, and I feel like a closeness because like you said, that was something that I did for such a long time too. It was acting and music. I was, you know, I double majored in both. But it was like, you know, I don't know, it was really hard for me too. But I remember when I made the decision to leave, and it's funny, I just got my SAG card. You know how it is, right? When you're like trying to get that SAG card, I just got my SAG card. I just got a commercial agent. I just got a theatrical agent. And then I was just like, I'm not happy, I'm gonna leave. And my friends were like, no, you can't. They were trying to pull me back down. You know, you can't leave. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know, like the struggle. And I remember I had a friend that dipped out a couple of years before that. And she was just like, you know, I'm tired of the struggle. And I remember she was just so sad. But then I think a couple of years after, she seemed really content, you know, like she had come up for air after getting out of that environment. Because a lot of people that are watching this, you know, you don't know too, you only see the actors that are, you know, successful in making it, but you know, you sacrifice so much. You know, you sacrifice leaving your friends and family, you sacrifice, you know, going places, you know, staying in town for pilot season. You don't want to take vacations. You know, you're basically giving your soul away to this profession. You know?
Yep.
You know, so it's great though. And I think, you know, I think you kind of grew up in LA too, right? You grew up in LA area.
Grew up until I was 10, and then we moved, and then I came back when I was 20. Well, almost 26.
But I think too, when you grow up in that environment, you're in this machine. And I think for me, when I decided to move to Asia, it was like, I needed to know that there was something more than this machine that I'm living in. Because even if you're not in the industry, if you're growing up in LA, everybody has a thread somehow or another to somebody in the industry, whether it's a caterer or somebody that's laundry cleaning or somebody that babysits somebody's famous kids or somebody, and like everybody, it's like this spider web that you're in, you know?
Yeah, and I was really under the illusion that to live anywhere other than LA or I guess New York meant that I was missing out on something. Really under that impression.
Yeah.
That idea really was still there, even up until the point where I moved from Los Angeles. I was like, but you know, is anything going to be as good as LA, or am I, you know, isn't this where I'm supposed to be in some weird way? And now that I'm living very happily in the Pacific Northwest, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like that's what I was groomed to think, that LA is where I had to be in order to make something of myself. And it's such a lie.
And I think that you're also brainwashed to believe that, or I felt like that I couldn't be an artist without being in Hollywood. Like I had to be in Hollywood, be an artist, you know? And I think I went to Sundance like the few months before I decided to move. This thing happened too. I went to Sundance to support a friend that had a movie there. And, you know, she was very self-centered and narcissistic, and we ended up getting into a fight, and I ended up basically being there a whole week by myself and not hanging out with her. But because of that, I just decided to see a bunch of like foreign films. It was a blessing in disguise. Had I hung with her, I probably would have seen all like the It movies with all the actors and stuff. But I'm glad I got to see all of these other films from all over the world. And I was like, I know this sounds very shallow, but I was like, oh, wow, like these are really good movies. And they're not made in Hollywood. Like there maybe is a life outside of Hollywood. I feel like I said really shallow and ditzy, but that was my mindset. And then I started to my mind started to open, be like, oh, there is life outside of this machine. Yeah. You know? Absolutely.
Yeah. And life can actually be fantastic outside of that machine. And
yes, exactly.
Much more affordable as well.
Affordable, free, you know. I'm so glad that you're hooking up with Richard Grove. We interviewed him a few years ago, and he said that he said something that stuck with me to this day, which was so profound, because he was talking about the Illuminati, and he was talking about you know, I think April and I were like, oh, we hate them and blah 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 blah, and he was just like, you got to have compassion for them, and we were like, ew, why? And he was like, well, think about it. If, you know, this is their lifestyle, then the abuse, if they're born into this, the abuse must be immense. And I was like, I felt like such a horrible person. I know he wasn't trying to make me feel like that, but it's to this day, I think about, you know, these people that are born into this, their families, they're really trapped. They're not, you know, we're more free than they are. Like, where are they going to go? Where are they going to hide?
Yep.
How are they gonna, like, how are they gonna get money? Like, how do they escape something like that?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, pity those in power. Even though they're trying to implement rules and conditions that are freedom sucking, they're having to live that way. I much prefer being on this side of the fence.
Oh, for sure.
And not having to be in control and dictating people's behavior and, you know, destroying them with bad medicine or whatever. Like, I'm much happier being over here, and I pity those people. And I have forgiveness in my heart.
Oh, for sure.
If they were ever to apologize and change their ways, I'd be the first one there to say, you are forgiven.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think, you know what? I think that's a good way to end the show.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I wanted to ask you one more question, but, well, what was I going to ask you? I was going to ask, did you hear any stories or have any experiences in Hollywood that kind of gave you some insight to like the dark side of what's going on? Did you see Out of Shadows?
I did see Out of Shadows. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. There was some backlash from people that's sort of like the alternative community, because they said it was QAnon supporting stuff, but I thought it was excellent. It was a really good documentary, and I think it's very shareable. So I don't have those issues. Did I ever experience anything dark in Hollywood?
Or did you hear any stories of having experiences where you were like, you look back on it and you're like, that was Satanism, or like that was kind of weird, or that was kind of like.
Well, here's something interesting. I performed at the Academy Awards in 1991 when I was 7 years old. I was in something called the LA Children's Chorus, and I just recently found the tape, and I have a VCR.
What?
And I bought a VCR converter, so I'll probably put this online soon.
Yes.
But I was able to convert the VHS tape to, an MP4, and as I was editing it the other day, I noticed something for the first time ever. And I've seen this clip of me sing. I sing the song with a group of kids. We sing the song that was nominated from Home Alone, called "Somewhere in My Memory."
Yeah.
And as I was editing, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" As it pulls back, the whole stage is the whole performance is happening inside of a giant eyeball.
Come on.
And it's undeniable. Like, it's obviously a giant eye. And there I am as a little 7-year-old me singing with a group of kids. And I was like, wow, I'm a part of this weird mega ritual. So that was an interesting thing to just sort of see for the first time a couple of days ago. But as far as being there, I mean, what I see more than anything in LA was just how sick that industry and that city makes people's minds.
Yeah.
I mean, the desperate energy is pervasive all throughout Los Angeles and throughout Hollywood, and this status-driven mentality, and everyone's sort of on edge. And, even what I would see is, and I got to know some actors who are pretty successful, and they're neurotic. Like, if they're, and I'm speaking in general terms, I'm sure there's some that aren't like this, but ones that I knew, if they're not working, if they're not relevant, they're freaking out. They're like, I gotta get a job, or I gotta be seen again. I gotta get back on top. And look at what's his name from Seinfeld, Michael Richards, who had that total meltdown.
Yeah.
Remember that, like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's really like cringy because he gets super racist. But what feels like it's behind that is like absolute desperation. He like falls apart because he's like clamoring for relevancy so much. And there's people in the audience who aren't caring, who aren't listening, who are talking over him, and he just loses it. And I think, man, if he had just, he's trying to like work the comedy club scene and just trying to be relevant. He had millions and millions of dollars from Seinfeld. He could have seen the entire world with that money and retired and bought him an island. Like, you can do anything you want at that point, but why is he sticking around comedy clubs in LA? It's like that obsession. Like, you got to stay in people's awareness. And I saw that so much. So hanging around some famous and semi-famous actors in my time there was illuminating for me. It was really eye-opening. Like, okay, here's someone who is spending $20,000 a month making sure their house is showcaseable, like that it's kept up, and they have fountains and a pool and this, housekeepers and all these people. They're paying $20,000 a month to make sure that their house is like at a certain level, so that when they have people over, they see the status that they're at. Like, gosh, what a headache! I wouldn't want to live that way. So it was very much for me, very telling. Like, okay, now I see what I don't need. And you see that a lot as far as like the real, like the esoteric and occulted underbelly weirdness. I got invited to a Eyes Wide Shut type party once by a guy I met at a ayahuasca ceremony of all places. He's like, yeah, there's just everyone wears masks, and there's people having sex, and it's very voyeuristic, and you can participate if you want. I was like, I'm cool, man. So I got invited to a party like that once. But I don't know. It's more just the energy of the place. Yeah. It's just a desperate, ugly place, and nowhere else is like it. Hollywood is its own weird beast. And
I didn't realize it. And if you grew up there, I don't think you realize it until you leave and then come back. That's crazy about it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. And I'm really glad to be out of there.
Yeah. Could you did you ever watch the comedians in cars getting coffee and
I
Jerry
can't
Seinfeld?
stand it because I can't stand Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay, well, let me just tell you this though. You're talking about Michael Richards,
Yeah.
and he was talking about, he did actually try and get away, and he says he goes to somewhere in Bali where he thinks that nobody's gonna recognize him, and he goes, and I guess these people had like a TV, and he's like relaxing on the beach, and these people are like, Kramer, Kramer, and it's just like, it's like you're in this prison too, when you're like that, when you're that famous, you're kind of like in your own, like prison. You can't, the anonymity is like, it's precious to
True. And look what happens to the women. I mean, the plastic surgery, the struggle for relevancy past the age of 40, which is like that classic Hollywood trope, like women don't have careers past 40 and they'll have, just obvious plastic surgery, and it's celebrated in a way. Like, she looks great. Oh, she looks like she totally deformed her body so she can try to look young still.
Yeah.
And you just see this over and over and over and over and over again, and it's sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. And I used to, when I drove for Lyft, I actually lifted this nurse that worked at a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon's office. And she was like, I was like, what's it like? Because she was like, girl, she's like, when I first started working there, I was all excited. She was like, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna get that done, I'm gonna get that done. And she was like, I don't want to, now working there, she goes, I don't even want to be near like any kind of plastic surgery. Because she was just saying even the medical complications, even of a successful plastic surgery, has so many like health defects, scar tissue and all this other stuff, and you have to keep it up. And she was like, she goes, these women have just messed up their bodies internally, even if they look good externally. Internally too, it's like, it's really,
and it's always obvious.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
obvious, and they're not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
And they should age gracefully.
Okay, one more thing, and then I'll let you go. Could you tell the story about, also, I thought you were going to tell us, you were talking about the Oscars, because you told us a story about Michael Jackson and Madonna. Was it Michael Jackson, Madonna?
Yeah. That's the same instance.
Same instance. Could you tell that? And then that will end.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, and I'll post this on my channel maybe in the next week, the actual performance. It's tricky because it's such copyrighted material that it probably will get taken down, even though it's from 1991 and it's featuring me. Yeah. But so we were hired to sing this song for the Academy Awards, and we didn't get to see the show. So we had to sit underneath the stage for not for the whole show, but for the whole show leading up to our performance. Then we did a performance. Then we had to leave. So we were sitting down there waiting, and the backstage was underneath the stage. So we were like, everything was going on above us. And we got to meet like Billy Crystal and Tom Hanks and Bob Hope, and Michael Jackson came over and said hello to us. And I was 7. I was the youngest one. I was the youngest one in the chorus. And I was like totally scared of this guy. Like, talk about a weird looking dude, especially to a 7-year-old kid. I was just like freaked out. And I didn't have any context for Michael Jackson. I didn't know his music or anything. So I was like, and then the other kids were really excited, but I did not want to talk to him. I just had a natural
hey, Benny, how are you?
Yeah. And then Madonna, she was nominated for an Oscar too. She was singing a song from Dick Tracy.
Yes, it was Dick Tracy. Yeah, there's one.
And so her performance, she was lifted up to the stage from a trapdoor. So she like entered the stage from the bottom, and we were down there, near her, and she was having a fit, like absolutely losing it, like going off the rails, yelling at everybody. And someone was like, Madonna, there are kids over here. She's like, I don't fucking care about those kids. We're like, ah. And so then, so that was my experience with Madonna. And fast forward to like 2004 or 5. When I was in college, I was still reading like IMDb movie news every day on the website. And there was some book that they were talking about in an article. It says like back behind behind the scenes at the Oscars, like 50 years of backstage stories, including one from 1991 when Madonna lost her cool in front of a group of kids and started yelling and cussing. I was like, that was me. I was that kid. So that's my experience with Madonna. She did not leave a good impression on impressionable mind 7-year-old Benny. But everyone else was nice. It's a weird experience. I mean, I can't believe, I still can't believe sometimes that I actually performed at the Academy Awards when I was a kid, but you know.
Were you in Living Color too? You were in Living Color too, right?
Yeah, I was
You're
on
all humble and stuff.
two episodes of A Living Color, and it's last season, 1994. One of the clips is on my YouTube channel.
Oh, it is? I'll have to check it out. Okay.
Yeah, and I did some other stuff. I was on Days of Our Lives, and I did a TV movie with Victoria Principal when I was a kid where I killed my mom with a sword, which is interesting. And I was on a show called Passions when I was in high school, which is a soap opera.
Yeah, I remember that.
A few episodes. I was on 3 episodes of Passions, and and I sang in the Addams Family movie when I was a kid.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And I've done a lot of commercials.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. All right, now I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
But
yeah, so subscribe to my channel. Anybody listening? I do need the support. It's a new channel.
And what else? Do you have anything else? Just your.
Yeah, well, I do encourage anyone if they're interested to do autonomy, you can get a free consultation with Richard. He does the phone calls for free. So I highly recommend that at the very least. And tell him that Benny Wills sent you over. And it's just, I really think it's an awesome course, and it's certainly changing things for me and Sonia. And I'm actually developing my own course now about something you mentioned earlier, being comfortable speaking in front of people, how to unlock your voice, how to unleash your creativity, and be comfortable in front of a crowd. So that's something I'm working on now. I'm very excited about it. And go to youtube.com/Benny Wills. Follow me on all those other social media platforms. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And you can go to my website, bennywills.com. I'm doing a live performance on my YouTube channel on June 7th, which will be an unlisted link, and I'm selling tickets for it. So if you want to come check me out doing my thing, just go to the information's on my Instagram account. And
you know what too, you're gonna give me the links, and I'm gonna put them in the description.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah. But anyway, youtube.com/Benny Wills is the primary place to find me. And also go to Joy Camp, because I still have the Joy Camp channel with lots and lots and lots of videos that are timeless on there.
Yes, they are timeless. All right. I will talk to you later. That wraps it up for you guys now. See you guys later. Peace and love. Bye-bye.
All right, bye, Virstyne.
Racism. Racism is not systemic. It's not genetic or endemic. It's really not the problem, although it is problematic. Problem is it's nourished, endorsed, engineered, and encouraged in our society that's fractured, run by maniacs and bastards, dollar signs and bankers, politics and wankers. They want us fighting each other, blaming, hating, and shaming each other. So we're always looking laterally, horizontally, instead of up the ladder accurately. Divide and conquer is the method, is the oldest trick in the book. Distracting us by blaming us. Well, they get off the hook. White cops versus black men. Just a clever misdirection. The police state versus everyone, and a war for your perception. Furthermore, let's explore American economics. Debt-based indentured servitude disguised as patriotic. The money monster taunts us and haunts us like a ghost. Drip drop like an IV drip, because without any, you're toast. Maximize the profit, minimize opportunity, advertise the hell out of it, polarize common unity. Racism is real, without a doubt, not pretending like it ain't. It's a scary thing that's taught to us and teaches us to hate. The media embraces it, regurgitates and celebrates it, and politicians use it, accuse it, and abuse it. Over and over and time again, same shit on a different day. Battered, broken, and paranoid, while our freedoms slip away. But hey, I'll love you no matter what, regardless of your race. I'll double down, I'll say it again and reiterate just in case. I love you. I love you. I love you. Doesn't matter the color of your skin. I love you. I love you. I love you. What matters is what is within. Don't hate. Be great. And invert the golden rule. Don't do to others black, white, brown, green, purple, or polka dot as you would prefer them not do to you.